Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about playing golf, another horror book about Freddy's, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Riley Van Dyke.
What?
Riley runs a construction company and builds buildings.
Hey guys, I'm Riley Van Dyke, and I'm just building America one brick at a time.
Well, today, we're going to start off with a video game of the week, and this is going to be a swing.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Super Golf. This is made by Noisy Games. Because it's on Roblox, you're able to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free.
I love free.
Well, you may remember Noisy Games from their other games, Treasure Quest and Noodle Arms.
Wow, it sounds amazing.
So first off, you appear on a golf course and you're allowed to join other players or play with your friends on our private server. The cool thing is, private servers are free. So you're allowed to select your controls, and I always pick the keyboard and mouse because I'm on a desktop. And they're way more accurate than a controller, by the way. Now, you are moved to hole 1 and you are able to take your shot. This looks like putt-putt, and you attempt to get the ball in the hole. You are competing with the other people on the server, and if there's a tie, it goes to who is the fastest.
You hear that? The fastest.
So, there's a timer at the top of the screen, and as soon as the first person finishes the hole, it forces the other players to go faster. You are able to see the scoreboard and find out how you're going to be compared to the other players in the game. I played against my dad, and even though it was always so close, he would always beat me like in 3 or 4 strokes.
What? That's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, I gotta get better. Well, one time I got a hole-in-one on a par of 6. Can you believe that? It took a lot of hard work to do that shot. Well, there was a ramp that had the hole on it, so there was a lot of jumps, and I skipped them all and got in the hole.
Oh, man.
Like a ramp at the start, and there's like a whole course here waiting for me. But if you hit it hard enough, it jumps over almost every obstacle, and it just flies right in.
Wow.
It's called angles. Parabolas, math, yeah. Well, I give Super Golf 10 out of 10 stars because I really enjoyed this game while competing with my dad. It was so much fun to jump the ball over edges in order to get to the hole faster than the other players in the course. If you like golf, you should most definitely play this game.
I love golf, man. I'm going to try it with my family. Yeah, it's a sweet game.
And now it's time for the book of the week, Five Nights at Freddy's, The Fourth Closet. This book is written by Scott Carthen. Language to the back of the book. In fact, Riley, would you like to do the honors?
Sure, Tiberius. Let me take a look at it. What really happened to Charlie? It's the question that John can't seem to shake. John just wants to forget the whole terrifying saga of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but the past isn't so easily buried. Interesting.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Well, this is an AR book that's worth 1 full point.
Ooh.
It's rated for 3rd grade and 6th a month, but it's marked for 12 and up because of the scary content. This is a great book for kids that love horror stories. So there's a teenager, and her name is Charlie.
I used to love horror stories, especially about people named Charlie.
Now, if you know the Five Nights at Freddy's game, you would know that Charlie was one of the business partner's daughters. But if you remember the last book, there was a team of big animatronics that killing people that looked for Charlie and eventually found her and killed her in the end. But the next day, the friends were at a restaurant, and well, there she is. Charlie's just standing there. But she seems different.
Very cool. Very interesting.
So, as we knew from the last book, Charlie had died from the animatronics. But this time was different because John, her boyfriend, had a bad feeling about her because he knew that she was dead. Because what happens is the new Charlie is being tested, and no one knows if this new Charlie is actually Charlie.
I wonder who's the real Charlie.
Well, I give Five Nights at Freddy's The Fourth Closet 1,000 out of 10 stars because it was really cool that Charlie did something cool at the end. The real one. And I almost cried at the end of this amazing series. And I can't wait for you guys to read the series.
Tiberius, you really cry at the end of this series?
I almost did. So you want to make an ad for your company, right?
Yeah, Tiberius, you want to help me?
Okay, so what's the name of the company?
PPWND.
PP what?
Professional Pressure Washing and Detailing.
So you like clean driveways?
Yeah, like that. We pressure wash commercial buildings and semi-truck and trailers.
So how would someone get a hold of you?
They can visit my site at ppwnd.com or call me at 407-900-7793.
So I just tell them to call you at 407-900-7793 or visit ppwnd.com?
Yeah, Tiberius, you got it.
Cut. That's a wrap. Just use that.
And now it's time for our interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Riley Van Dyke.
Hey, guys.
Riley runs a construction company and builds buildings.
Hey, guys. I'm Riley. Nice to meet y'all. Nice to be here.
Nice. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
So far, Tiberius, it's amazing. I'm absolutely loving it. I just think that it's just a great thing you're doing here, Tiberius. It's amazing.
So, you're listed as a guy that builds buildings. What got you interested in doing this? Do you like Legos as a kid?
You know what? It's funny you say that, Tiberius. I actually loved Legos as a kid.
Legos are fun.
You know, I got a lot of hands-on experience with my grandfather. He was a great man. He wasn't a builder, but he was a builder of people, for sure. So I kind of got to see how, you know, a great man like him and just how he handled people, and life's about relationships. So I just love have the opportunity to do the things I do, and just helping people along the way and building relationships. That's what I'm in business for. So, yeah.
So how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been doing this since college. After college, I took a job at a big construction company in local town here called HJ High. It was a great experience. No complaints at all. Working there taught me a lot of valuable things. That was about 5 years ago, about 5-6 years ago. So I've been doing it since then.
Wow. So what kind of buildings do you make?
Well, that's a good question, Tiberius. I actually do a lot of different buildings. So, like, I do some commercial work. So, like, when I say buildings, I mainly build, like, the shell of them. So it's like, imagine like a turtle, you know, and you have just the hard shell, the outer layer of it, but you don't have all the insides, all the finished stuff. But I'm building that shell, the turtle, very, very big and very, very strong.
So you're building like the foundation and the walls and stuff, right?
Yes. So the concrete stuff, like the foundations, the block walls, and a lot of the wood frame work as well. And some exterior, we like to make the shell look pretty, so we did put on some exterior finishes as well. So like stucco and bricks and all sorts of stuff like that, yeah.
Half bricks?
Mm-hmm.
So, like on a gas station, do you install the tanks and the pumps or put in the countertops and the soda machine?
Actually, neither. Actually, not at all. So I would build like the shell of it, like the metal studs that hold up the building and all the countertops.
Ooh,
so like, yeah.
Cool. Now, what's the most misunderstood part about this job?
Well, definitely the most misunderstood part about this job is that construction people are lazy, or people that didn't go through classical education or all sorts of stuff. It kind of gets a bad stigma for the people that work, but we're just tradesmen. You know, we like to work in the trades, and it's a rising thing in this country. We are projected to lose almost our entire workforce that is skilled and there's a lot of great money and a lot of great opportunities in it as well. That's exactly why I do this, and it's a great opportunity to learn from these old men who teach you all these things. You know, it's a blessing.
Mm-hmm. So when you're building buildings, do you start with an empty ground, or are you changing a building that's already there?
So Tiberius, is a great question. I mean, I think that we do both. We do a lot of residential stuff as well, so we do a lot of remodels of houses. So, like, I'm not the guy pulling the permits, but I do work hand in hand with a lot of general contractors, mainly just one. If I need to get a permit pulled, I can go through him, and he trusts me. It's also, you know, he plays a big part in it as well, and he's the guy that makes sure everything's finished at the end. But I'm the main guy making sure the job gets done. So, yep.
Like as general manager?
Yes, more or less, yeah.
Okay. So, do you design the buildings that you make, or do you follow a blueprint made by someone else?
So I follow a blueprint. I also make buildings that I design them myself as well. It just depends on the certain thing. If it needs just a shop drawing, which is basically just a simple little, simple illustration of what the job's going to be like. But most of our projects, they're signed and sealed from an architect and the city. So we do what's called build per plan. My old mentor Chuck Taylor told me that, and that's what we do. We roll with everything we do, build per plan.
Cool. Does running a construction company require a lot of training?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, it's a big responsibility. When you're having to, it's a very complicated process of trying to translate what's on paper into reality, and having to. The hardest problem is having these skilled laborers show up and know what they're doing. But the good news is that I do a lot of the work, some of myself, and I have a great crew of guys around me that help me with all my stuff as well. So.
Now, my dad and I are both allergic to manual labor, and while construction sounds like a lot of work, do you have to do all the physical stuff, or do you have to hire people to do the hard stuff?
Now, I'm not a stranger to hard work. I love working with my hands. It comes naturally to me. It's definitely the best. It's a thing. But I have to hire a lot of help. It depends on the job. If it's a big job, we have, quite a few. We got to hire quite a few people. And if it's a small job, I'll usually take me and a couple guys, and we'll just go in there and knock it out of the park. So, Yep.
Cool. Now, what's the best part about being a building contractor?
Well, the best part about being a contractor is the opportunity to interact with people in the community and deliver quality products to families, to houses, businesses, and all sorts of other things that, turning people's dreams into realities is what I love seeing. And just that whole process is very, very cool.
Now, what was your most challenging project ever?
Well, that's a great one. It's a long story, but I'll keep it short. We built an apartment complex there off of Goldenrod and Curry Ford Road, and we weren't originally supposed to start and do that project. But we actually got called in because the contractor, the project managing company, and the contractor that was in there before, they did not get in the required labor and stuff in there to do the job well. We actually had to redo almost all of the framing in it. So unfortunately for that contractor, we'll not name names, they lost a ton of money. They had to double pay for the entire apartment complex. But hey, it is what it is. We got the job done. We did it right and got it fixed for them. And someone got a lawsuit in the mail. I'm guarantee you that. So that was probably the hardest, most challenging project.
Now, what's the hardest part about being a contractor?
Getting quality labor and getting people that know what they're doing, because this world's full of people that are fibbing, and a lot of people are trying to get in there to get in the door, but it's kind of hard to weed those people out.
Now, when you look at other buildings, do you know how all the parts were built?
Yes, more than likely. It's I've been trained in blueprint reading, and the process of building a building from the ground up I'm very familiar with, and pretty much anything, I'm almost there to my contractor's license. I'm almost there. That's the next step I have. That was just required, just a couple of different hurdles as well, but almost there. But I have all the training on when it comes to like how things are put together, like Legos, So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now, what was the craziest thing that has happened while you were doing your job?
Well, this is a couple years ago, Tiberius, and I won't get too crazy about it, but we hired a guy. We won't name names, but he basically took a nail gun, and he had a 2x4, and he was putting up a wall. Okay, so when he had the nail gun, he put his hand right on the back side of it. And granted, this nail gun, it shot straight through the wood and right into his hand. He stapled himself to the wood. It's nuts. I have heard of crazier stories, but that's probably the one that just was like, you have to be kidding me, right? So safety is critical.
How many hospital visits did you have to have just to get that removed?
I don't know. Probably just one, but he's in a lot of pain, and he didn't show back up.
Okay. Now, who can you say was the person that helped drive your passion the most?
My mom. She's the one that always told me to be bold, be brave, and go after it, son. And it's not been easy, and
Nothing's easy.
and it's hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and run a construction company?
What advice I would give them is to go to school for it. I did not go to school for it. I went for business, but you can either go to school for it or learn a trade, and just understand that going to college isn't always the thing that's going to get you ahead in life. Remember, the classical thing has always been to go to college to get a classical degree. But if that's not your interest and that's what you don't like to do, I would say definitely go to a classical trade school and figure out like go to plumbing, go to electrical. Like these trades are needed. They are like, there is a dying breed of people that actually do this stuff for a living, and it's a great opportunity for those that want to do it. So.
Oh, is this an expensive job to get into? I mean, do you have to buy out the tools and trucks and cranes to build the buildings?
Absolutely. It is it's a slow burn, but with a little bit of investment and a good business plan, you can convince a lot of people to kind of help you kind of front those initial startup costs. We're still in our trial period, I would say, which basically means like I've got to wait 5 years, of actually, but we are doing excellent. Every year we've seen almost 500% growth. So it's been truly remarkable to be a part of that. And most of our referrals are just word of mouth, because we are people that's definitely, you got to be a man of your word and do what you're going to do and make things right, So
now, if you could think of one thing that would make your job easier, what would it be?
An exoskeleton.
Why?
Because lifting giant pieces of plywood upstairs is annoying, and it gets hot in that Florida sun. Or just a helmet that just blows cold air right in your eye. Maybe you could 3D print that.
That would help.
Yeah.
That would most definitely help.
The sun is brutal out there, but it's worth it if you got some sunscreen and you wear long sleeves.
So, what was that one project that you're most proud of?
Well, Tiberius, I definitely like all my projects, but definitely the one I'm most proud of is the one that there was some flood damage that happened from Hurricane Ian, and unfortunately, this older couple lost some of their flooring, and it came up to about where the appliances were. Not a big deal. So we went in there and we decided just to replace all the flooring for them for free, and just do a little nice deed for the community. So for sure, that was definitely my favorite.
It's a good deed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so of all the people out there, what is the best type of client that should hire you?
Well, anyone any couple or family that's looking to have their house remodeled, I would say that's a good one. Any business that is looking to have cutting-edge solutions added to their place, and more ergonomical setups, and definitely anybody looking to make a good investment for a apartment complex, I would say, or some place that's going to develop a passive income stream later down the road. So what is the best advice that you've ever received? It's from my mentor, Chuck Taylor. He once told me when I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and he said, Riley, your inner self is not aligned with your outer self, and you're in constant tension. So whenever you get that in check, in line, and you're able to kind of like not be insecure or be fluid, and that's definitely the best advice I was ever given.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was that very first job that you've ever had?
Well, my first job was at Wet n Wild. I was a lifeguard at Wet n Wild. So Wet n Wild's no longer here, but it was a great experience. Loved it.
Well, was there anything you learned from that job that helped you to be a better contractor?
Yes. So CPR. I mean, I haven't yet had to use that, but definitely it's something that I'm looking out for. Put a tourniquet on because my job's inherently dangerous. So
Very, yeah.
it's when you have unstable buildings that aren't finished, and people tend to do shoddy work sometimes. So you tend to, have to kind of keep your head out, eyes open, and make sure you're not stepping on nails, and just being very observant. I would say is what it helps me
Always
do.
have thick shoes and not walk with socks.
Yes, and you'd be surprised. People are in there with Nikes and definitely,
Ruining them.
ruining them. Yes, absolutely.
Get thick boots.
Getting nails in their feet and not going to the hospital for tetanus shots.
Oh, goodness. So, what message do you want to tell children all over the world about doing the work that you do?
Well, kids, I would definitely say that being a contractor and being somebody that's in the construction field, it is a profession that's never going to go away. We're always going to need people to build things, and we're always going to need people that know how to build and innovate. And if you like Legos and you like Bob the Builder, or you like whoever it is, then there's a profession out there for you, and there's a future for you that can make you and your parents very, very proud. So definitely encourage people to get up there.
Oh, wait, hold up. Do you know when they will finish the I-4 eyesore?
Tiberius, I have no idea when they're going to finish that Orlando eyesore, but I definitely can say this. They are milking that budget to the very, very end, and that is what's really going on. So, need more money. So,
Well, when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you always know you were going to be working in construction?
no, actually I didn't. My family, they are all like, doctors and lawyer. My dad's a lawyer. He's a patent lawyer. So I kind of viewed myself as being someone who was in that field. It's just funny how, God has a plan, and I just kind of came in here and definitely, especially my mom, out of all people, who said to me, you should look into construction. And then I did some market research being that I wanted to see what my competition was. And
Smart.
I saw that the competition was pretty much 90% of them are going to retire in the next 10 years. So there's no one else coming up underneath that. So that's why I got in it.
Nice. So, what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
The biggest mistake I ever made, I definitely would say that being too generous to people, I would say, without, kind of out of insecurity. So, like, I would say that, like, getting myself into financial situations that shouldn't, just out of my own kindness and goodness, when I'm not really thinking about the business as a whole, and I'm not preserving that financial thing. So, like, establishing the cash flow when you're first creating a company is incredibly difficult. And now that I've kind of established that, and I'm never going to make that mistake ever again. So,
Smart.
yeah.
So, when you're not building the next building, what do you do for fun?
Well, I love to hang out with my friends. I have a lovely girlfriend, Lindsay, who she's just wrapping up nursing school. So, looking forward to that. I love to go hunting and fishing. I love working on mechanical things like boats, cars. I do all my work for my cars. I just love working with my hands. So, like, anything with that, or just doing simple little tasks. It's just, I have ADHD, so I have to keep myself busy everywhere. So,
Same here.
Yep. I'm diagnosed, man, since 8 years old.
Well, that's a whole lot of outdoorsy stuff. And that's manual labor.
Yes.
So you do manual labor for fun?
Yes. Actually, it calms my mind. So I definitely enjoy it. I do lots of painting as well. It's interesting.
Okay, how about this? Do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
I am a FIFA champion.
Got it.
FIFA 23. Catch me, XX Resi on Xbox Live. We got it. We'll run some games. But definitely, I love FIFA. Either that or Legend of Zelda. That's my all-time favorite. But the game that I play religiously now, until I beat the next Zelda game, is FIFA. So yeah.
No, they're coming out with a new Zelda game.
They are, yeah. It's the Breath of the Wild 2, but they changed it to something hourglass of time.
I'm not sure.
Not for sure. We gotta look that up.
Okay, so what's your favorite book to read?
My favorite book is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Pretty sure that's his name. It's a book about Cloth, who is this guitar lute playing musician who travels around this world, and let me tell you, it's definitely an adult book, but it just tells a story kind of like Harry Potter, how it's like you have downs and you get shot down and out, and the triumph of life that just inspires one, to do great things. So definitely that.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. But that one story, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
That's a good question, Tiberius. Probably something that no one knows about me is that I don't know, like I have a weird phobia of people chewing next to me. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I don't know. Is there a specific word for that? I'm trying to think of something else here. I don't know. That question really caught me off guard.
Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
I would say definitely hard work pays off in the end. And I would say that it is not easy at first, but if you work hard, take a lesson from me, I could just be a kid. You can be a kid from anywhere in this world, and if you just put yourself out there and try and not go into a little hole, you can accomplish a lot, and you can accomplish a lot anywhere. So.
Well, do you have a Facebook and website for my listeners that want to follow you?
Yes, I do actually. I have Van Dyke Construction, which is it's on Instagram as well. It's on Facebook, Instagram, Metaverse. And then I also have a website called vdcflorida.com, and that's my business website. So, yeah.
Nice. So what's that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
Well, Riley, what is some of the tools that you use?
Well, what are some of the tools that you use?
Well, we have these really cool drills, And we also have very important, the classic DeWalt tape measure. Not sponsored by DeWalt at all, but just these are the best. And it has, I don't know if you can see, just, normal 25-foot tape measure. And then one of our most important things, the most important thing about being a construction guy is doing a layout. So if you don't do a layout, you could actually really mess up. So you use this tape measure. It's the most important thing. Is these are your two, knives in shining armor right here, So, forget all the other tools, but if you don't have these ones, you're done. And what this one does is it's very simply just a chalk line that creates a semi-permanent mark on things for people to kind of see where you're going to have, certain types of 2x4s or metal studs or wherever it's going to be. And I'm the guy who always goes and does the layout so that everybody can, cut and figure out where to go, and they just put in the Legos. But, I only trust one other person. That's my partner. Sadly, he couldn't be here today. His name's Robert. He's a great dude.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Well, thank you, Riley, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Absolutely. Boom.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Thank you, Riley, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about sheet metal.
Ooh, sheet metal. Uh-oh.
Now, Tom is building a wall out of sheet metal. Each side of a square piece of sheet metal is 8 meters long. If a wall is to be covered with 1,024 square meters, how many squares of sheet metal does Tom need to buy?
Well, let me think about that.
Well, I'll explain it for you. Well, first is a real world problem because people do like to build walls. But usually I think the squares of metal are a bit smaller.
Yes, absolutely. That is a huge piece of sheet metal.
Yeah. So to solve this one, you have to figure out how many square meters is the 1 square of sheet metal. So to take that out, you have to take the size of the side and times it by itself. So 8 times 8 is 64 square meters. So now you have to divide the square meters by the wall of the square meters of a single sheet of sheet metal. So now we have 1,024 divided by 64 is... That's a hard one. So you know what? We can simplify it to make it easier. So since they're both even, you can divide it by 2 and give it 512 divided by 32. By 2 again, you get 256 divided by 16. And again, you get 128 divided by 8. And again, you get 64 divided by 4. And still even. So simplify it again. You get 32 divided by 2. And now one more time. And now it's 16 divided by 1. Which is 16, by the way. So you need 16 squares of sheet metal. That's a whole lot of simplifying.
Yes, it is. That's a whole lot of simplifying, and my brain hurts now.
That went way too fast. That's fine. So, Riley, do you ever see sheet metal that's really 8 meters square?
Negative. Never. I mean, I guess you could. I guess you could weld it, but
That would take way too
it would also be very structurally unstable. You have to have that braced up pretty well because it'd be wobbly.
long.
Yep.
Be like, wow.
Oh yeah, like. You know, a very interesting fact. You know, the first Atlas rockets that ever were made by NASA were structurally unsound because they didn't realize that if you built something out of metal, you absolutely you have to have it constant pressure on it. So you have to fill it with like an inert gas, and then while they're filling it full of fuel, you know, they didn't realize that, and that's why sheet metal is not very structurally sound. So interesting.
Now, Riley, my teacher said that I would use math every day. Do you use math in all time at your work?
Absolutely, yep. Math is like a very, very critical thing. I mean, like I use the Pythagorean theorem almost all the time, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Triangles.
It's just types of right triangles. Yes.
Not isosceles, not scaling.
No. Just for right triangles, and I use that a lot to determine my pitch of the roof. And also, I use a lot of just simple adding, multiplication, adding, subtracting, division. But yes, math. Stay good at math because you got to use it in real world. You have to. So, especially in this industry.
Well, thank you so much, Riley, for your help with Math Corners.
You're welcome, Tiberius. Thank you, bud.
And now it's time for the heart of a lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about obedience. For me, I think obedience is being fully committed to doing what is pleasing to God. The qualities of obedience are compliance with a good attitude and respect for the laws. You know when someone is obedient when they follow instructions willingly and thoroughly. So this week, I saw obedience was a traffic law. This time, it was not a red light, but instead it was a school bus. Now, I remember being on TV talking about how to stop on both sides of a street when a school bus stops. And that, you can keep going, there's a median between the sides. But this week, I saw it myself. I was in the car, and my dad stopped suddenly. We were not at a crosswalk or anything, and I looked and saw a bus with kids running out of it. 2 kids ran across the street, and I remember why it's so important for drivers to be obedient to the school bus rules. My dad was obedient with a good attitude, and he was smiling. But I think it was because I got to see and understand it for myself, and he thought it was a good learning moment.
I think so, too. Wow. What a great...
So, Riley, did you see or use obedience at all this week?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's funny. I'm a very good, very practicing good Christian. I would like to say, but I'm not one of those super crazy people. But the point is that I was listening to have like moments when I first wake up. I give it to God. So I say my prayers, and I actually breathe, like trying to breathe life into like my day. It's just kind of like manifesting it. But a lot of times when I pray, I give like the 90% of me is just listening, and the other 10% is just me actually speaking. So when God tells me to have obedience, it's mainly obedience towards Him and trying to follow His word and what He tries to say and tries to prevent in my life. So yes.
Well, of all of the heart of the lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
Probably nobility. Nobility is like chivalrous knights. We go back to talking about video games and all sorts of stuff. Like I have a heart for people that try to hold themselves to a certain standard, and this world needs more of that, and people that hold themselves to a certain standard and don't slip away from those virtues. So definitely.
Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Absolutely, yes. Lion strong all the way.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Riley Van Dyke for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today.
Thank you.
I think we learned a lot about the world of construction and the building of buildings.
Well, I hope I definitely could have, opened some eyes and been a help and a smile to others out there. So thank you.
Well, do you mind giving your website again?
Yes, so definitely. My website is V as in Victor, DC, Florida.com. And my social media is just Van Dyke Construction LLC. So, yep.
And also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and subscribe. Also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!
Woo!